chances, dreams and goals. Many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man. Choices, chances, dreams and goals. Many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Huda TV. My name is Muhammad and this is our new program, Life Choices. Behind every decision we make, there is a choice. It's these choices that affect our lives. Inshallah, every week, we're going to be looking at a different segment of the choices we make in our life. We're joined with Brother Karim and Adam and Brother Zakir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother Karim, why life choices?
Actually, in the beginning, I'm very happy being with you guys, actually, because we started really a very important issue and a very important program about life choices. And the most important thing in life choices is yourself. And I don't know, most of people maybe will ask about that everything now is talking about the country's development and companies' development and organizations, what you are going to talk about. But I want those people to remember just a simple thing, that's this old story about this man who tried to develop everything around him, and he started to say that he is going to develop the world. You remember what happened to him, right? He started to say, I will develop the whole world. But after a while, he started to face that he failed. He couldn't. So he decided to change his country. After a while, he started to realize that he failed. He couldn't. So he said, okay, I will just care about my street or my square. This is what I care about. He tried to change everyone, but again, he failed. He said, okay, my home is the best thing to change and to develop. I will develop my children and my wife and my small family. After a while, actually, he failed. But it was on his 60s, and he was on the bed of death. And he said to his family, I was mistaken. I was wrong. I cannot change the world. I cannot change the country. I cannot change you. All what I have to change is me. And if I changed me, I will be able to change everything in the world. I think this is the core of everything. If we are going to talk about self-development, we are going to develop everything around us. Organizations, countries, cities, whatever. Because everything, societies, start with only one person. So when we focus on self-development, we are focusing on everything. We are getting to the core. Especially that self-development is something in our nature, something happened by nature. For example, you born baby, you are just a baby. You have what we call it in psychology, the maturity continuum, which is the attitude of the attitude of you. When I'm baby, I don't do anything for myself. I just want my mother to feed me, my dad to give me things, everything I cannot do, go even to the bathroom actually. After a while, I started to get more into youth, and I started to be independent, not dependent like before. Independent, I want me. Everything is me, which is the attitude of I. I want to do everything. I don't want to be with the family, I don't want to eat with them, I want just to have my private life. Then we started to get more mature, and we start to develop more, which is the interdependency, and we go to the attitude of we. You marry, you have a family, you have a vision that you care about, you are a manager in your company, you have people that you care and you work for. So this is nature life. This is the nature of our human being style. We are here to develop. Although in religion, this is something related to it. When I was thinking that how God asked us to develop, is it something main, or it is something, it's not a must for everyone. Maybe I like myself the same I am. But actually I was thinking that, what is religion? Religion is faith. right?
That's right, yeah.
Without faith, there is no religion actually. And we have a rule in religion that says faith, if it is not increasing, it's decreasing. Nothing called faith. Faith is never stable. We don't have ever this stable faith.
Goes up and down.
Yeah, it's always,
Yeah.
if it is not up, it's down, which is development.
So it's more about what we can do to help our faith go up when it's down.
Yeah, it's
And
it's
this
all
is
about
where self-development comes in, right?
exactly, exactly. It's all about self-development. You are developing yourself more and more by religion also. God asked you for this. You have to increase your faith always, which is kind of development actually. So, why is development? Why not? This is nature. This is us. We are here to develop to be better. Actually, I think that you have seen this in your whole life.
Yeah, of course. I really basically agree with everything that you said. And in regards to self-development, I also think what's important is to know what you want to do, so you know what you want to develop about you. So I feel that's one thing you need to take the step of knowing what you want.
Yeah, it's a very good point because, you know, that's right, where do I start? You know, it's good saying, okay, we need self-development to become better people, to increase our iman, but where do we start? What is it I want to develop? This is what we need to start off with. Do you agree, brother?
I think first we should sit down and reflect upon our strengths and our weaknesses. You know, if it means to sit down with pen and paper, so be it. Write down all our pros, our cons, what we see that we have in ourselves, the potentials we have, and then at the same time, jot down the shortcomings that we may have, and try to make a strategic plan how we can overcome these cons and turn them into pros. You know, these bad habits we have, how can we make them into good habits?
Right.
Whether it's individually, for example, maybe I'm struggling with my relationship with Allah, my Creator. Maybe I'm not praying on time. Maybe I'm not reading enough Quran. Maybe I'm not giving enough sadaqah. Maybe I'm not dealing with my parents in a nice way, my family, my siblings, you know, people around me, people in the community. I'm only worried about myself only, in a sense, not to develop myself, and this unfortunately is the case for many people in the world today, that they forget to fix themselves while they're stuck in this I world. You know, whether it's with iPhones, iPad, everything around us is, if you guys really, you know, think about it,
all me.
it's all about me. Where's the
I.
we in the picture? So, number one, we should begin with ourselves, definitely, to identify where we fall short. And then we should start up with a plan. How can we, you know, overcome these, you know, negative traits that we have in us? And as Muslims, we are told to make our today better than our yesterday, and make our tomorrow better than our today. So with this beautiful, you know, concept in mind, it will always help us, inshallah, stay motivated and try to, you know, overcome these challenges.
Inshallah, we'll have a look at just a short video clip and then we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our new program, Life Choices. Today's topic, self-development. We're joined with Brother Adam. Adam,
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Adam, tell us more on your opinion about self-development. Why do you think it matters?
Okay, first, I would like to recap. I would love the chance to recap what Brother Zakir said before we went to the clip, in saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And in response to your question, why self-development? Because I believe personally, we all can develop in a certain area in our life, whether we like to admit it or not. As long as we have the desire to develop, this is always a possibility.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good point. I mean, to me, self-development, it's about, you know, as we saw in the video clip, failure. It's a fact of life. So yeah, we can plan to develop ourselves,
Right.
but you know, plan for success. But we also need to plan for failure.
Yes.
And I think this is a very important point.
You know, sorry for interrupting you,
No,
brother.
just
I have a very good saying that your success is measured by how you can go from one failure to the next with the same enthusiasm.
Yeah, so it's not letting your failures bring you down.
Right.
So just because you failed doesn't mean you can't get back up again and, you know, and go for it.
yeah, and what also I see that we have to get always a root solution for everything, because I want to go back for what Zakir was saying about sitting down and write what you want and just start to know what you need to develop, write your pros and cons, and you just have to go on. This is totally right. I totally agree with this. But actually, I have different experience that a lot of people that I face in my consultancy or in the company that I go to, they always ask another question. Actually, I would like to develop, but what?
Okay, so okay. So the first thing we need to do if we want to develop ourselves is we should sit down with a pen and paper and start writing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to do. Okay, I'm working, and I want to develop my skills. So I should write down what things should I write down?
Yeah.
That's going to help me in my job. Okay.
Actually,
in my current profession.
in the beginning, I need to write down what is making me down, not what is making me up. Because a lot of the main problem that we face in our companies that, or in normal life, that people they have the will to change, but they don't know what is absorbing them downstairs. They don't have, they have to remove the barriers before they add the skill. For example, if someone came to me to take a training in leadership, let's say,
Okay.
I want to be a leader. I always face this problem, especially on the junior level. They come to me, Kareem, we want to ask you, actually I don't like to stay as an agent or on this junior level. I want to develop, I want to be a team leader, I want to have my team. Okay, let's start. When we go, what we find is that he is not in need for techniques and skills to add, but actually he has some barriers in the beginning that we need to remove. We have these barriers in all life sectors that we need to develop in. We have spiritual barriers, we have financial barriers, we have relation barriers, we have skill barriers. All these barriers we have to work on before this. We have to face our barriers. How to face these barriers? We have a lot of solutions. The most important thing is to ask a specialist. This is very important, to go back to someone who can understand people. Because a lot of time we face people who talk to another people who don't understand, and you know, the disaster always happens on that moment.
So it's be careful who you seek advice from.
Huh?
So be careful who you seek the
Yeah,
advice
definitely, definitely. And everything, especially in religion, in I think you can back me up in this.
Yeah, definitely. If we have, for example, another issue that the young people are facing, at least back in the States, in the Muslim community, we find that a lot of Muslim youth, you know, born Muslim, raised up Muslims, practicing Muslim families, you know, at a point in their life, they start to question their faith. Not in an academic way that we're encouraged to, but rather in a doubtful way. Like they're you know, thinking about their religion as if maybe if it's not right or...
Yeah, inshallah, we'll talk about this more. We'll just go to a short break. Don't go anywhere. You're with us on Life Choices.
In a game of golf, both the caddy and the golfer have the same goal: to get the ball into the hole. Interest-free banking is similar. With a clear view of the fairway, a predefined agreement without shifting targets, things should end up where you want them. Your deposits are safe, and your funds are ethically managed with a transparent and equitable approach to sharing risk and reward. No interest burden means more time to relax without the worry of nasty surprises. Rest assured, our interest is mutual. Jazz Bank, Nigeria's first full-fledged non-interest bank.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to Life Choices. Just before the break, Brother Zakir was talking about something that's affecting the Western Muslim community. Brother Zakir, do you mind elaborating on that again?
Sure. So I was saying the youth, they're having, you know, doubts about their religion, about God, about Allah, if He exists or not. And it's sad in a way because their answers and their doubts aren't being, their questions aren't being answered. Their doubts aren't being removed. And this is where asking a specialist comes in. Because we lack, you know, qualified individuals to really answer and tackle these issues, we find the growth of these problems. So it's very important if somebody has, you know, a problem, whether it's deen, whether it's religion, whether it's, you know, psychological, whether it's social, physical, whatever it is, whatever the problem is, they should go to that person and inquire and to really find out. If we're ill, we go to the doctor, right? If we have, you know, problems with our iman, you know, if we can't resolve it on our own with, like, you know, people around us, then we must go to an imam or a sheikh or someone who's knowledgeable who can help us with this. And this is where this sense of development comes in as well. Because if that doubt remains, then it will continue to grow, and it will continue to create avenues for other doubts to come in, and that will be harmful. And at the you know, discussion of the hadith of iman going up and down, definitely iman will go down, and this is something that no one wants.
Yeah, no, of course not. Especially you have to confess also with that, because the most problem that any patient would face, that he doesn't want to confess that he is sick. We have all to confess that we need to develop, and we have some lack in a lot of parts in our life, and we need to go on through it. As long as I see myself the best one ever, or it's okay for me, you will not be able to develop, although if there is someone beside you. Because, you know, we cannot teach people. People always learn. You cannot feed people the knowledge. You cannot feed people the skill or whatever you are going to feed. You have to be with someone who needs to learn, who needs to develop. And this is the passion. This passion, when you lose it, when you don't have passion to develop, actually anything you are going to do will be meaningless. So this is why we started our speech talking about why self-development, why it is purpose in life, why it is your nature, why it is something in you, why it is the normal life to grow on. Because if you don't have this as a perspective in your life, development will be meaningless.
So basically, I mean, for us to self-develop, we need to know our weaknesses. We need to admit we have faults and weaknesses. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to develop anything, are we?
Definitely.
I mean, okay, so we know the first step.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a pen and paper, and we're going to write the things that we want to develop on. But, I mean, what do we do after that?
Actually, the most important part, after you start to confess, you have to start to search for your resources, for the resources that you have. For example, I have a family problem, or I have to develop my relationship with everyone around me. So what the resources that I have? I have to ask my mother or my father. Do I have to make a family gathering and meet them and talk? Do I have to ask another one, old man, for example, any grandfather for one of my friends to tell him how to do this? If I have a problem in my skills at work, or actually we face this in most of Muslim countries, that I cannot find a job. Very, very famous part. I cannot find a job and I don't know what to do. So your problem, your main problem is you have lack of skills. So what's your resources to get the skills? We have a major word that we say at business. We hire people for skills and we fire people for behaviors. So if I'm going to hire you for skills, how you are going to gain these skills? Do you have to attend courses, to go to training, to get some tapes and CDs to listen to? How many books you need to read, in which part, in which sector you need to read? And we have met a lot of cases like this, people who has zillion of barriers, actually, but with focusing and realizing their problems and confess with their barriers and started focusing on good resources and matching them together, their life changes. All the famous people started like this.
I think, Jazakallah khair, Dr. Karim, you nailed it, as we say. Also, to add on what you're saying, to utilize these resources, which means, in other words, action. So we can't just sit there and just lament over our weaknesses and our shortcomings, but we have to start moving. We have to start doing something, right, to bring about this change. There's a saying that I will be the change I wish to see. I will be the change I wish to see. So we always say, oh, if the world was like this, or if the community was like this, or if. But then when we look at our own self, we're not that change that we really want. So first it begins with us. And this, you can go back to the Quran and you find, subhanAllah, how Allah time and time again mentions, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Surely those who believe and do good, meaning good actions, أَعْمَالُ الصَّالِحَةِ, Allah gives them rewards, Allah gives them forgiveness. And there's tons of ayat in the Quran about this. And this shows the importance of first knowing who Allah is, believing in Allah and this beautiful way of life of ours, and following that up with action, with productivity, with doing things. And I think as a community today, especially, we really need to start working. We have a lot of speech, we have a lot of rhetoric, we have a lot of lists and so on and so forth. But when it comes to actually implementing these ideas, this rhetoric, this beautiful religion, we tend to fall short a lot of times.
Yeah, that's a very good point, that change begins with ourselves, so we first need to change. Inshallah, we'll just have a look at this short video clip and we'll be right back.
I told myself that day, this will never happen to me again. One of those experiences. It's called like life-changing. I said, I'm going to search till I find better opportunities so my pocket won't be empty and the bank account won't be empty, and I won't be so far behind on my promises to my family. And it was shortly after that I meet Earl Schoaf, who taught me how to be wealthy, who taught me how to change my life. So who knows what the connection is, right? Someone says when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I don't know all the mystery of that. But anyway, it seems like some of those things uniquely happen. But it was Mr. Schoaf over a 5-year period before he died at age 49 who taught me some extraordinarily simple things. He only went to the 9th grade in school, never finished high school, never went to college, never went to university. So he put his ideas and his experiences in very simple language, which I think for me, a kid from the farms of Idaho, that simplicity was so important. Because if it would have been technical, I'd have missed it. If it would have been mystic, I would have, backed away. But it was just basic, blunt, ABC, familiar stuff that I hadn't thought of before. And he did start to remind me, and those ideas changed my life. Mr. Schoaf was the one when I said, this is all they pay. He said, you've been working 6 years, Mr. Owen, how come you're not doing better? And I said, this is all the company pays. He says, well, that's not true. I said, no, this is my paycheck. This is all the company pays. He said, no, this is all the company pays you. I thought, that's a new way to look at it, right? He said, doesn't the company pay 2, 3, 4, 5 times this amount to other people? I said, well, yes. He said, well, then this is not all the company pays. It's all they pay you. And if you qualified, wouldn't your income grow 2, 3, 4, 5 times? I said, I suppose. So he said, we don't have to work on the company. We have to work on you. See, that was the beginning of what he called the phrase personal development. I told him things cost too much. He said, no, you can't afford them. I thought, well, that's a new concept. I hadn't thought about that. You know, we put some of the valuable things on the high shelf, so you can't get to them until you qualify. If you want the things on the higher shelf, you got to stand on the books you read. Every book you read, you get to stand a little higher so you can get the things on the higher shelf. See, I learned those concepts. It was so incredible. And here was the most important one. Success is something you attract by the person you become. See, that phrase changed my life.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Life Choices, our very new program on Huda TV. Brother Adam, can you just share with us some of your thoughts about today's topic, self-development?
Yeah, okay. I think once we develop our desire to learn and we write our list of what we should do, we should make what we should do, what we want to do, and what we must do. Not let it sit. And to know that whether you think you can do something or you think you can't do something, you're right. And there's a saying in Egypt, you know, there's some big goals that you may have that you may feel this is so incredibly hard. But in Egypt, someone told me, khatwa khatwa, which I think means something like step by step.
Yeah.
So I hope that we can, inshallah, implement what we know and what we should do to make it what we want to do.
Very interesting what the gentleman on the clip said at the end. You attract success by the person you are. I'm paraphrasing. And it's very interesting because, again, if we go back to the Quran, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will not change a people until they change what is in themselves. So change begins from here. Development begins from here. Now it's up to us to really move forward and take action.
Yeah, change always started within. Always starts within. And it makes me remember that the main person, if you want to also to develop psychologically, and you know, developing spiritually and psychologically are the main assets for the whole development in your life. That the rules say that you are always responsible. Whenever you start to feel that you are not responsible for yourself or for what is happening to you, you start to lose the control. You start to be the victim of everything around you. I didn't do this, it's my family, I don't want to do it. Why I have to work, why I have to develop? I have money, so I'm dependent on my family. Or whatever the proof that he says, that he gives for himself, that he doesn't want to do it. But at the end we will find that he is not responsible. He doesn't want to take the responsibility of his own life. That I am responsible to the extent that nobody can hurt somebody. That we say in psychology. Nobody can hurt somebody, but you are hurting yourself, or
unless you let them.
Yes, you are leaving the others to hurt you.
Right. And I really think what you're saying is true, and it's important also, yeah, we must change ourselves, but also change who we spend time with. Choose good brothers to be around that you know, teach you, to tell you, motivate you to be better in your deen, to do more for the sake of Allah. And I truly believe that who you spend your time with is who you will become eventually.
It's also about responsibility.
Right.
Because you are responsible for the people you choose. Because a lot of excuses I used to hear actually in counseling, that when you stay with someone who's young, 19, 18, something like this, I don't mean anything actually. So when you stay with him, you will find that the first thing he say when he has a problem it's not me, you know, everyone around me is doing so. You chose the people around you, it's not me. You are saying people around me, those people, you chose yourself. So sit with another people.
I mean, yeah, fair enough, right? I mean, to a certain extent, you need to take responsibility, okay? You got to acknowledge your fault. But certainly, yeah, the environment around you does play an important factor. And sometimes you not that it's right to blame someone else for your mistakes or your lack of, you know, of self-development or your goals or whatever it may be. But sometimes, yeah, there are other people to blame. I think that's...
You know, you brought to mind a study, and they took rats, and they took out the part of their brain, which the gene for learning. And they found out they made a rat that couldn't learn as much. But what was less appreciated from this study is that they put these rats in an environment that was stimulating for learning, and the rats overcame the deficit. Even without this part of the brain and the environment that was stimulating enough, subhanAllah, they could overcome anything. So environment does play a role.
Yes, subhanAllah. Inshallah, we'll talk more about that as soon as we come back from this very short break.
On the road to Medina, our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions faced lots of troubles and difficulties and enmities and obstacles in the way to Medina before the hijrah to Medina from Mecca. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assisted his beloved Prophet and supported him in order to complete his mission and to immigrate to Medina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us this great Prophet and his companions. Now the question, why the immigration to Medina, the hijrah of Rasulullah and his companions, was a turning point in the history of hijrah, in the history of Islam. My dear brothers and sisters, what are the sacrifices that the Prophet Muhammad has faced with his companions? Some of these difficulties, inshallah, we will learn together, and we will focus in some lessons. What are the lessons that we take from these incidents, inshallah, in our program, Road to Medina? My dear brothers, stay tuned with us, inshallah, in this great event of Hijrah. We will, inshallah, focus on some of the lessons in this program, Road to Medina. May Allah make it easy for us and accept our good deeds and gather us with our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Jannah. Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Life Choices. Brother Zakir, how does failure, how would failure lead us to success? Does it have an effect?
Throughout the course of our lives, we tend to make a lot of key, important decisions, and whether it's graduating school, choosing a college, choosing a job, choosing a spouse, and so on and so forth. There are so many big decisions, and those are just the big ones. We have little ones in between. And throughout our lives, we tend to fail, because this is the nature of human beings, is to make mistakes, right? Mistake means failure. But failure doesn't mean that you're, not able to be successful. Perhaps at that moment you failed at something, and we should use that as an opportunity to succeed. How? Because if we're doing something, on a day-to-day basis, and there's no, everything is just, stagnant, nothing is changing, we don't know where we're, what we're doing right, maybe, or what we're doing wrong. But if we tend to make, if we make a mistake, we realize where, we fall short, and we, fix that problem, and that can lead to us succeeding. Yes. They say that you can never learn there's an Egyptian saying, speaking about Egypt, Adam, you don't learn for free. You do not learn for free.
I love Egypt.
There's always a cost, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's effort, anything. You would have to give it up in order to learn something. So by failing, we're at the end of the day, we're actually gaining something.
And I think what's what is not important is the mistake, but our ability to learn from the mistake, which is a point that I feel is crucial in understanding that you can learn from everything, whether it's a bad experience or a good experience. Just say Alhamdulillah and take something useful from that experience.
Okay, inshallah, we'll just we'll take a look at this short video clip and we'll be right back.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it, you got to have passion. And I think that's the high order bit. The second thing is you've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people, and you've got to figure out how to size people up fairly quickly, make decisions without knowing people too well, and hire them, and see how you do and refine your intuition, and be able to help build an organization that can eventually just build itself. Because you need great people around you.
That was a very interesting video by Steve Jobs, who was the founder of Apple.
Apple.
What do you think?
No, these guys, they know what failure was. If you look at, whether it's Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or any successful individual, you see that they came from a very difficult background, whether they were struggling with their family, they were struggling financially, whether they were struggling academically. Everyone had these sort of failures, but through these failures they were able to overcome and become who they were and establish such great companies that the world has seen. So it's important for us to use our failures as as opportunities for success. To learn from those mistakes, from those errors, and build on that so that we can become successful, so that we can move towards development, so that we can become more efficient individuals. Whether you go to school, you're studying, you're a student, you can become successful by doing great in school, by earning good grades, by participating in different activities in school, right? By joining teams, by joining clubs. There's different things you can do while being a student, but at the same time being a great and successful student. You can be a great parent by raising your children well and become a successful parent. You can become a great business person by excelling in the business field, in your field, by introducing new ideas to the team and so on and so forth. So every aspect of our lives we can be successful in, but at the same time, if we fail in it, we shouldn't let that be the end of our of our struggle towards success.
I guess it's an important point as well. I mean, because you're not born into success. I mean, if I look at Steve Jobs, I'm sure he didn't have a very comfortable lifestyle growing up. Neither Bill Gates. They had to work, and struggle to get there. So it's important to realize that you're not born into success. That you actually there needs to be some groundwork and up to actually get there.
They used to ask one of the most business people, strong business people, I think in car sectors, something like Toyota, something like this. I don't remember exactly, but they used to ask him, "How you are doing this great job? How you are doing this great business?" He said, "Actually, it's simple. Simply, I have good decisions." So they ask, how you can get all these good decisions? He said, simply, I have very bad decisions. So it's always a start with failure. If we looked around, as Zaka was saying, everyone around us from these famous names, it started with failure. Because psychologically, when we face failure, we got one of two reactions: pros or cons, which is a positive reaction or negative reaction. That failure can create fear inside me sometimes, and in that case we will have depression and we have to deal him with another way. Or those intelligent people, genius people who need to develop themselves, they took it as a challenge, that this failure will never prevent me. We have a very famous story here for the person who passed in my country. He passed the Munch, you know, swimming. This person who was the first person who passed the Munch without legs. He has a very beautiful story. This guy was without legs, and from the day that he was 10 years old.
Right, right.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And it was difficult for him to walk. He has no legs to do anything. He decided not to go to school. He said, I will take my exams at home, to his parents, and his life was going to miserable life. After a while, he was beside the Nile River in Egypt, and he started to see these people who has no legs, and they started to learn how to swim. So he said, oh, there is a place where I can learn swimming, because he has a very big passion, remember, passion that we talked about, passion to learn and to be a good swimmer. So he went to this place and he asked them, can I join? They said, definitely. He started to learn swimming, and he became one of the best in his team. After a while, they started to recommend him for Il-Munch, to pass Il-Munch. In the beginning, people started not to believe in him, but he said, I want to do this. I have the passion to do so. So they said, okay, but if you want to do so, you will pay for it. We will not get you with the team. You have to pay all the expenses. He said, okay, I don't care. The problem happened again. Failure will not happen to you one time. It happens once and once. He went to England, and in England he got a problem in his ears. And the doctor said that he has to take rest for 2 weeks, and the competition after 2 weeks, so he cannot go to the water or his ear is going to explode. Imagine yourself in this situation. No more solutions. I lost everything. I lost my dream. But actually he said to the doctor, please do the operation. He said, but it needs rest. He said, do the operation. He did the operation in his ear, and he insisted to go to the competition. They said, your ear is going to explode. He said, okay, I will write you a paper that I'm the responsible. They said, okay. He passed the Munch after 12 hours, and he was the fastest person who ever passed the Munch without legs. Look to this story. Anything can say, yeah, this person is going to fail. No more solutions. But he did, because he has the passion. He insisted to do for what he wants. He see himself that I must develop. I must go to my dream. This is what we talk about.
So when dreams are nourished and pursued, they do come true. And you remind me of a story of an old woman. She's a very small woman, and she ran triathlons. She was maybe in her 70s, very old woman. But she was dedicated to running triathlons, which is bicycle, swimming, running, many miles. And she was the only one in her age group that wanted to compete in this race. And she finished the running, she finished the swimming, and she got to the bicycle. And I believe it was taking place in Hawaii. And the winds there get very strong due to the volcanoes, and there's a lack of trees, so the wind is very strong. And she was a small woman, and the wind came to 30 miles per hour and blew her, and she hit a rock, and she broke her collarbone, and she couldn't run for a while. And the committee of the triathlon said, we can't have these old women coming back to do this. We're going to set an age limit on the triathlon. But subhanAllah, she went, insisted, and even they wouldn't give her a number. She did the triathlon after recovering, just alongside the people with numbers. And she didn't take a number, but she finished the race.
Without being in one of the competitions?
Without being in the competition, because she had the will. It didn't matter if she had the number or not. She wanted to do it.
It's about that sometimes. It's this knowing I can do it, regardless of, you know, any rewards for it, you know, regardless if I'm going to win a prize or win some money. It's setting a goal and just reaching for it. I guess it's a really important point. But as you were mentioning, brother, about the guy with the no legs.
Yeah.
Now, subhanAllah, this just reminds us of the decree of Allah. I mean, the doctors told him, you can't swim.
Yeah.
But, you know, this wasn't decreed for him.
Exactly. It's always about his faith in Allah. As long as he believes that Allah will never let him go like this, he knows that he is not alone. He knows that he always surrounded by the bless of God. He lives this meaning. And he knows also that whenever he has a dream, whenever he has something good for himself or for the community or whatever, he knows well that Allah will bless him. He will do the rest, as you have a word you used to say.
Dreams, when nourished and pursued, do come true.
Yeah, exactly. So everything, and we always also say this to people in training, whenever you start to work for success and for your dream, you will feel like that everything around you is working for you. You will feel that, yeah, you know, everything is going easier, everything is going to help you, but not in the beginning. You have to pass through exams to prove that you really need it. This is a major thing that is also a gift from Allah, by the way. Because if you don't have this gift, you will continue in what you are doing, and maybe it is not your path.
And He knows you're strong enough to take the challenge.
Exactly. If you cannot take it, He will not give it to you.
لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها.
Exactly.
That's a very good point. I mean, it's also important, you know, to be pleased with the decree of Allah, regardless of what it may be. You know, an ear infection stopping you from swimming, or whatever it is that we might encounter in our lives. It's to be pleased with the decree of Allah, and to know that what Allah has decreed for us, that's ultimately what's better for us. And if that's failure, then let it be failure, and inshallah we're going to learn from this failure. Jazakallah khair for being with us today with this very important topic on self-development. Inshallah next week we'll discuss another topic. Thank you for watching Life Choices. This is Huda TV. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Choices, chances, dreams and goals, many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man. Choices, chances, dreams and goals, many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man.
Now is talking about the country's development and companies' development and organizations, what you are going to talk about. But I want those people to remember just a simple thing, that's this old story about this man who tried to develop everything around him, and he started to say that he is going to develop the world. You remember what happened to him, right? He started to say, I will develop the whole world. But after a while, he started to face that he failed. He couldn't. So he decided to change his country. After a while, he started to realize that he failed. He couldn't. So he said, okay, I will just care about my street or my square. This is what I care about. He tried to change everyone, but again, he failed. He said, okay, my home is the best thing to change and to develop. I will develop my children and my wife and my small family. After a while, actually, he failed. But it was on his 60s, and he was on the bed of death. And he said to his family, I was mistaken. I was wrong. I cannot change the world. I cannot change the country. I cannot change you. All what I have to change is me. And if I changed me, I will be able to change everything in the world. I think this is the core of everything. If we are going to talk about self-development, we are going to develop everything around us. organizations, countries, cities, whatever. Because everything, societies, start with only one person. So when we focus on self-development, we are focusing on everything. We are getting to the core. Especially that self-development is something in our nature. Something happens, it's decreasing. Nothing called faith. Faith is never stable. We don't have ever this stable faith.
Goes up and down.
Yeah, it's always, if it is not up, it's down, which is development.
So it's more about what we can do to help our faith go up when it's down.
Yeah,
and this is where self-development comes in, right?
Exactly, exactly. It's all about self-development. You are developing yourself more and more by religion also. God asked you for this. You have to increase your faith always, which is kind of development actually. So, why is development? Why not? This is nature. This is us. We are here to develop to be better. Actually, I think that you have seen this in your whole life.
Yeah, of course. I really basically agree with everything that you said. And in regards to self-development, I also think what's important is to know what you want to do, so you know what you want to develop about you. So I feel that's one thing you need to take the step of knowing what you want.
Yeah, it's a very good point, because, you know, that's right, where do I start? You know, it's good saying, okay, we need self-development to become better people, to increase our iman, but where do we start? What is it I want to develop? This is what we need to start off with. Do you agree, brother?
I think first we should sit down and reflect upon our strengths and our weaknesses. You know, if it means to sit down with pen and paper, so be it. Write down all our pros, our cons, what we see that we have in ourselves, the potentials we have, and then at the same time, jot down the shortcomings that we may have, and try to make a strategic plan how we can overcome.
Chances, dreams and goals, many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man. Choices, chances, dreams and goals, many mixed emotions in my heart and soul. For some I made a plan and did the best I can. If God wills, things can happen. After all, I'm just a man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Huda TV. My name is Muhammad, and this is our new program, Life Choices. Behind every decision we make, there is a choice. It's these choices that affect our lives. Inshallah, every week, we're going to be looking at a different segment of the choices we make in our life. We're joined with Brother Karim and Adam and Brother Zakir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother Karim, why life choices?
Actually, in the beginning, I'm very happy being with you guys, actually, because we started really a very important issue and a very important program about life choices. And the most important thing in life choices is yourself. And I don't know, most of people maybe will ask about that everything.
Come these cons and turn them into pros. You know, these bad habits we have, how can we make them into good habits?
Right.
Whether it's individually, for example, maybe I'm struggling with my relationship with Allah, my Creator. Maybe I'm not praying on time. Maybe I'm not reading enough Quran. Maybe I'm not giving enough sadaqah. Maybe I'm not dealing with my parents in a nice way, my family, my siblings, you know, people around me, people in the community. I'm only worried about myself only, in a sense, not to develop myself, and this unfortunately is the case for many people in the world today, that they forget to fix themselves while they are stuck in this I world. You know, whether it's with iPhones, iPad, everything around us is, if you guys really, you know, think about it,
all me.
It's all about me. Where's the we in the picture? So, number one, we should begin with ourselves, definitely. to identify where we fall short. And then we should start up with a plan. How can we, overcome these, negative traits that we have in us? And as Muslims, we are told to make our today better than our yesterday, and make our tomorrow better than our today. So with this beautiful, concept in mind, it will always help us, inshallah, stay motivated and try to, overcome these challenges.
Inshallah, we'll have a look at just a short video clip, and then we'll be right back.
By nature. For example, you born baby, you are just a baby. You have what we call it in psychology, the maturity continuum, which is the attitude of the attitude of you. When I'm baby, I don't do anything for myself. I just want my mother to feed me, my dad to give me things, everything I cannot do, go even to the bathroom actually. After a while, I started to get more into youth, and I started to be independent, not dependent like before. Independent, I want me. Everything is me, which is the attitude of I. I want to do everything. I don't want to be with the family, I don't want to eat with them, I want just to have my private life. Then we started to get more mature, and we start to develop more, which is the interdependency, and we go to the attitude of we. You marry, you have a family, you have a vision that you care about, you are a manager in your company, you have people that you care and you work for. So this is nature life. This is the nature of our human being style. We are here to develop. Although in religion, this is something related to it. When I was thinking that how God asked us to develop, is it something main, or it is something, it's not a must for everyone. Maybe I like myself the same I am. But actually I was thinking that, what is religion? Religion is faith, right?
That's right, yeah.
Without faith, there is no religion actually. And we have a rule in religion that says, faith, if it is not increased,